Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'll be doing a used book haul. I've got about 10 books here, quite a variety of books from all sorts of age groups and genres. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one I got at half price. It's 7 Billion Needles by Nobuaki Tadano. This is the second volume in the series. I had previously found the first volume there as well. And it is a 4-volume series, so I'm really hoping I can get a hold of the last two because it's getting kind of hard to find. And it's basically a classic alien invasion story, this time set in a Japanese school. It seems to, based on the artwork I'm looking at, seems to have maybe a bit of a horror element to it. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm not kind of looking too much into it because I want to first, be sure I get a hold of them. The next book is a book by an author I really enjoy, and the first book I ever read by her as well. And this is The Murders of Richard III by Elizabeth Peters. And in fact, this is the very same cover and format, little mass market, that I read it in when I first found it. It was published back in, I think, 1974. And it features not Amelia Peabody, which she's more known for, but her other character, an American by the name of Jacqueline Kirby. She's invited to an English country for a kind of costume event where the hosts and guests are fanatics of Richard III, and they kind of want to disprove the 500-year-old rumor that he murdered the princes in the tower. But a lot of strange things start happening. It looks like a prankster is kind of reenacting some of those murders that took place, including beheading, poisoning, smothering, and even drowning in a butt of Malmsey. But they're just practical jokes until one of them turns fatal. And so she's got to solve that crime. But I really enjoyed it when I'd read it, and that kind of launched me into wanting to read all of Elizabeth Peters' books, and then also the books of the supernatural mysteries she wrote under the name of Barbara Michaels. So I've read quite a few books by this particular author, but I've never read her nonfiction, which she published under her real name. Until later this year I'll be reading this one. This is Temples, Tombs, and Hieroglyphs by Barbara Mertz. Now the author is in fact an Egyptologist, so she brings a lot of facts and things to her mysteries, and I'm looking forward to kind of delving into her nonfiction. This particular book has a lot of photos kind of in the center of it, and it's been recently, since, well, I don't know how recently that was, but it did say it was updated to include more of the most recent historical research and archaeological finds, so kind of curious to delve into her nonfiction. Probably save that for Nonfiction November. The next two books are by the same author, and I had mentioned it's kind of one of my goals, and I don't know if it was a tag video or something, that I wanted to read more Italian authors since I'm of Italian heritage. So I decided to go with this one, Umberto Eco. I picked up The Name of the Rose, the book he's probably most well known for. This is set in the year 1327. It says Franciscans in a wealthy Italian abbey are suspected of heresy, and Brother William of Baskerville arrives to investigate. When his delicate mission is suddenly overshadowed by 7 bizarre deaths, Brother Williams turns detective. His tools are the logic of Aristotle, the theology of Aquinas, and the empirical insights of Roger Bacon, all sharpened to a glistening edge by wry humor and ferocious curiosity. He collects evidence, deciphers secret symbols, encoded manuscripts, and digs into the eerie labyrinth of the abbey where the most interesting things happen at night. Now, I've only exposure to Umberto Eco is the movie version of this with Sean Connery, so that I saw that so long ago I don't really remember much details about it, but I'm looking forward to delving into that one. But the one I think I might begin with this author is this one. It's The Mysterious Flame of Queen Loana. I never really heard of this one, and if any of you have read this or know anything about it, let me know. But I read the synopsis on the back, and it sounded really intriguing. It's a little bit more contemporary setting too, so I think I might be able to get into that one a little bit easier. It says, what if you woke up tomorrow and remembered nothing of your life? The faces of your spouse and children are strange, and the outlines of your childhood are only a blur. This is the crisis that Jambo, an Italian bookseller, faces when he regains consciousness after suffering a stroke. He is shocked to find, however, that he can remember every book he has ever read, every line of poetry, and a wealth of literary quotations. Desperate to retrieve his past, he searches through boxes of old newspapers, comics, records, photo albums, and adolescent diaries, and so Jambo relives the story of his generation. Mussolini, Catholic education and guilt, Josephine Baker, Flash Gordon, Fred Astaire. His memories run wild, and life races before him in a series of images as Jambo struggles to capture the most elusive one, that of his first love. And the book itself is, let's see if I'll be able to show you, full of various illustrations and things. I can show some of them. There you go. You'll see them just flashing by there. Maybe images of things that he remembers, or book covers, or one of those record albums or something. So yeah, I found that very intriguing, and like I said, it's a little more contemporary setting than The Name of the Rose, so if I do delve into one, it'll probably be this one first, but if you read it, let me know what you thought about it. The next group of 4 are all books I got at the Little Free Library. I was dropping off some books over there and spotted a couple interesting ones I thought I'd pick up. This is a mystery series, a cozy mystery that I've seen sometimes. Unfortunately, the second book in this series. Even my library only has a second book in audio. It has yet to be available, but I went ahead and picked it up anyway. This is Bookmarked for Death, a Booktown Mystery, Volume 2, and it's by Lorna Barrett. I can go ahead and read the first one is called Murderous Binding, but maybe it'll be standalone enough that I can kind of still get into it. It says, to celebrate her bookstore's anniversary, Tricia Miles hosts a book signing for best-selling author Zoe Carter, but the event takes a terrible turn when the author is found dead in the washroom. Before long, both police and reporters are demanding the real story. So far, the author's obnoxious assistant/niece is the only suspect. With the sheriff who provides more obstacles than answers, Tricia will have to take matters into her own hands and read between the lines to solve this mystery. Presumably the bookstore cat. All these covers too, they're just intriguing enough. Set in a bookstore, I'm sure I'll enjoy it, and I should be able to just get into volume 2. The next book I just picked up on a whim because it just kind of brought back childhood memories. I thought it'd be fun to kind of read one again, and it's actually a Hardy Boys mystery, Missing Chums, by Franklin W. Dixon. I'm not sure, oh yeah, it's volume 4. But these are pretty much standalone, and I know enough about the series, having read them a long time ago. But this one, I think it gave me a description here. And you see it's even stamped Little Free Library. Let's see, here's the synopsis. The Missing Chums. Something is amiss in Bayport, the Hardy Boys' hometown. First there is trouble in Shantytown, then a strange black craft tries to ram Joe and Frank's boat, the Sleuth. That night the local bank is robbed, and later that same night the young detectives' pals Chet Morton and Biff mysteriously disappear after a masquerade party. Are the events related, and do they emanate from Shantytown or from Hermit Island, an isolated island mass inhabited for many years by a strange recluse? Is it significant that both the missing boys and the bank robbers wore masquerade masks, or is it more important that Chet was wearing a costume identical to Frank's? One by one, Frank and Joe tackle the clues, hardly daring to think what might have happened to their missing friends. Like I said, I thought it'd be kind of fun to dive back into it and see what those were like and what my reactions are to them now as an adult. Next one, I saw it more than once at the library, at the Little Free Library. It was just sitting there, and I passed it by the first time. The second time I went by it, and I looked at it again, and I thought, I'm going to bring that one home. Give it a home. And this is Mary Peters. That's the title, Mary Peters. It's by Mary Ellen Chase. It's a bit beat up, as you can see, dust jacket-wise. It's been around the block a while. And let's see, it's published by the Macmillan Company in 1934, so it's been around. And the cover just really intrigued me. That young woman standing on a sailboat. Obviously, by the period of dress, it's set back in time a bit there. And even on the flyleafs in here, you see a bigger version of it, front and back too. And I'll just go ahead and read the synopsis for you. It says, readers of A Goodly Heritage, Miss Chase's previous book, already know with what intimate understanding and sympathetic humor she portrays New England life. Much of the atmosphere of that autobiographical story pervades this new book, a novel of the Maine coast during the past 60 years. Centered in the life of a seafaring family, it has for its themes the abiding, indestructible influences of the seafaring heritage of New England upon the natures of those intimately connected with it. Mary Peters comes from a long line of deep-water captains, is herself born on a merchant ship off Singapore, and for 15 years is brought up and educated on her father's vessel. This is the story of her experiences as a child on the Elizabeth, her entrance at 15 into village life of the 80s, and her later somewhat tragic life, always under the influence of her girlhood at sea. Within her experiences, one sees the changes in the life of the Maine coast during the last 50 years, with the decay of its shipping and influx of summer visitors. So I thought it'd be interesting to read about, life at sea and stuff. I know it's probably has a little bit of autobiographical aspect to it, but yeah, thought it'd be interesting. I may have to see if I can do a little dust jacket repair on that. We'll see. And the next one, again, I found also at the Little Free Library. It seems to have been a previous library discard that had been around the block a bit. And this is Muriel Spark's Territorial Rights. And the reason that kind of intrigued me, besides the fact of that sort of image of Venice on the front, was the fact it was by Muriel Spark. And I remember, I believe it was Adam at Memento Mori speaks a lot about this author and speaks very highly of her. So I thought, hey, perfect combination of Venice, which I have been to, and it is absolutely beautiful, and an author who is apparently very well written, so I picked it up. I'll go ahead and read the synopsis for you here. It just says, Venice, with its fading palazzos, its promise of sexual intrigue, and its countless hiding places for secrets best kept hidden, is the setting for Muriel Spark's glittering new novel. Robert arrives off-season at the Pensione Sofia to escape a complicated affair and simplify his life. But in Venice, nothing is what it seems. Even the innocent Pensione has a body buried in the garden, and Robert is soon ensnared in a plot as intricate and ingenious as any Muriel Spark has devised. Drawn together unexpectedly by blackmail and an almost forgotten crime, a glorious rogues gallery of characters scurry to protect themselves. But who is safe away from home, without territorial rights? In the Venice of Muriel Spark, appearances are not only deceiving, but as fragile as houses built on water. It says it's a novel about the complications that follow deception, but for Muriel Spark, such matters are also the stuff of high comedy and sharp observations on the precarious way we live now. So, yeah, I like it for the setting. I like that cover, too, kind of wrap around their watercolor gondolier. So, yeah, pick that one up. And the next one, the very last one, was an absolute amazing find at Half Price Books in their sort of last chance area for only $2. $2. I get the original illustrated Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and it has all 356 original illustrations by Sidney Paget. Now, I had a hardcover version of this a long time ago, and for God knows what reason, I gave it away. And I really regretted that, because I absolutely love the illustrations within it. And this is actually paperback, like I said, it's $2. Left the sticker on there so you could see. I couldn't believe it. The only thing wrong with it is there's a slight crease running down here, but I mean the spine's not cracked, the pages aren't dirty. I couldn't believe it when I found it. Yeah, so there's all these illustrations. I used to have fun back in the days when I was still kind of drawing, trying to kind of recreate them a little bit. So it's fun kind of just looking through them again, and one day I will just start from beginning to end and read my way through this, because it's been a while since I've read any of the Sherlock Holmes stories. But yeah, absolute amazing find. So that is my used book haul. I will be filming a new book haul shortly, because we'll be having employee appreciation days at work, so I'm kind of taking a bit of advantage of that and getting some books to add to my collection. So, as if I don't need any more books. I know. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me know what you thought of some of these titles, if any of them sound kind of interesting to you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.